Assalamu alaikum. At this time, we ask everyone to stand in a position of prayer. As we're taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we open all of our meetings in prayer. And for those of you tuning in for your very first time, here at Muhammad's Temple of Islam, we pray in this manner, standing erect with our heels touching at a 45-degree angle, our hands extended as if we are receiving a gift, our heads slightly bowed, and our eyes closed to this wicked world. For those of you who know the prayer, follow along with me. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds, the Beneficent, the most merciful Master and Savior of this day of judgment in which we now live. To Thee alone do we serve, and to Thee alone do we beseech for Thine help and aid. O Allah, guide us along the right path, the path of those upon whom Thou hast bestowed favor, and not on the path of those upon whom Thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray after they have heard Thy teachings. Ameen. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, to whom all holy praise is due forever. We can never thank Allah enough for coming in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the long-awaited Mahdi, Supreme Being, the all-wise, true and living God. And I speak none other than Master Farad Muhammad. And in his divine messenger, leader, teacher, and guide to you and I, the black man and woman here in the wilderness of North America, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And those two great men, I greet each and every one of you in our nation's greeting words of peace and paradise of Assalamu alaikum. How is everyone doing today? I pray that you all are well and in good spirits. My name is Brother Minister Daniel Shabazz of Temple number 32 here in the beautiful city of Phoenix, Arizona. I am just your brother here to help get the truth over to you that was given to us by our leader, teacher, and guide, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who we know is the messenger of Allah. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the messenger, and the last messenger and warner sent or risen among you and I to deliver the last and final message, to wake us up, a people who have been asleep for over 400 years, asleep to the knowledge of self. So we can never thank Allah enough for coming, because no people on the planet needed a message of truth to wake them up more than the black man and woman here in America. Brothers and sisters, for those of you who are tuning in for your very first time, I'd like to get you familiar with our meetings. As you notice, I'd like to introduce you to our greet, or get you familiar with our greeting. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum is an Arabic greeting, or the greeting is in Arabic, excuse me. Translated into English only means peace be unto you. Peace be unto you. This is a greeting that all of the men and women of God have used. All the prophets greeted one another in the greeting words of peace be unto you. From Abraham all the way to Esau or Jesus, they greeted their disciples, the followers, those who believed in what they taught in the greeting words of peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. Jesus greeted his disciples in the greeting words of peace be unto you. Is that right? But we all know that Jesus didn't speak English. In fact, Jesus spoke ancient Aramaic and Hebrew. So Jesus greeted the disciples in Assalamu alaikum. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that there is no better greeting than to greet one in the greeting of peace, especially in a time like this, where peace is hard to find. You have war all over, breaking out everywhere, civil war, wars overseas, all types of different forms of war. Is that right? Violence outbreaking everywhere. You turn on the TV, there's not a day or an hour go by you don't see no violence. Is that right? So we need peace. We can all agree to that. Is that right? We can all agree that peace is something that we need. So, says the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, peace is the best greeting you can give to someone. So with that being said, I'd like to greet each and every one of you again in our greeting words of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, for those of you tuning in for your very first time, there's a few things you will notice at Muhammad's temple meeting. We don't have a choir or musical instruments, tambourines, drums, guitars, organs, keyboards. And it's not that we don't like music. We, the Muslims, understand that we are the authors of music. And we are rhythmic people by nature. So it's not that we hate music. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that music and the musical instruments, the worship and praise during a lecture would only distract the listener from what is being taught. And I always like to use the example back when I was in school. When I was in school, we had a tape recorder called the Walkman, which would carry or record songs of our favorites, our favorite types. We record all these music and whatnot on the recorder, and it had earphones. It was a listening device. And we were not allowed to have those in class. Why? Because the teacher knew that it would just distract us from what the teacher is trying to teach us. There were many times the teacher had to stop us and, hey, take off them earphones, because she knew that someone wasn't paying attention. And here at Muhammad's Temple of Islam, what we are here to offer you is the truth. A truth that is to save your life. A truth that is so important that we don't allow any distractions in our meetings. Because we want you to leave with an understanding of what we're being taught here today. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that out of all thy getting, get an understanding. Meaning, out of everything you're going to get, make sure you get an understanding. It's important to understand things today, especially a knowledge of God that was given by God. And this is something that separates us from the church house. And for my churchgoer friends out there and family, this is no disrespect to you all and what you believe. And I'm not here to make mockery or to tease or to make jokes or to disrespect anyone. Here at Muhammad's Temple of Islam, we're only here to give you the truth. That's it. And as the saying goes, sometimes the truth hurts. Is that right? Especially the guilty. The truth hurts the guilty because the guilty don't want the truth to expose them. So, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that seems we're having a little bit more difficulty this week again, and I'd like to apologize for last week's lecture. Some reason my devices are going crazy here, but well, I don't want to take up too much time dealing with these technical issues, so I'm going to go right into my subject today, and the subject is before the great and dreadful day of the Lord. There's a scripture with a prophecy of the great and before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, which is in Malachi chapter 4, verse 4 through 5. And it prophesies of one named Elijah, who God is saying this prophecy. This prophecy didn't come from the prophets. It wasn't Noah that prophesied this prophecy, though there were prophecies by the prophets about Elijah, but this one in particular is a prophecy made by God. Allah made this prophecy, and he said, before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, I will send you Elijah. He said, I will send you Elijah. Now, I know you may wonder, why did he have to send Elijah? Elijah was sent to prepare the way for the great and dreadful day of the Lord. See, many of you don't understand that the great and dreadful day of the Lord is the judgment. And we're in the judgment today. This is the time of judgment. And let's look at the word great and dreadful day. Why is it a great and dreadful day? Why did the Bible speak of that? Why did God say, call it the great and dreadful day of the Lord? Because as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, it's going to be great for some and dreadful for others. It's going to be great for some and dreadful for others. See, we must understand the time. This is the time of separation, right? As Jesus prophesied that about the wheat and the tare must be separated, right? We are in a time of separation. So it's going to be a separation, and it's going to be a great for some and dreadful for others. And this separation must take place in order for that to happen. So, before the judgment of the world, God said he would send Elijah. Elijah has come, brothers and sisters. That Elijah that the Bible prophesied was to be sent has come. And it's none other than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was one raised up to prepare the way for God. He had to be risen up to give a final message and a final warning before the great and dreadful day, before the judgment. The Bible also speaks about the dead rising before the judgment took place. The dead must rise first. That's what the Bible teaches us, right? The dead must rise first. Now, many of us, as I spoke on my last lecture, believe that the Bible is describing the dead in the ground, physically dead. Those that died before us are going to rise up out of the grave and stand before judgment. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that the Bible was written in a way that it had to be reinterpreted, because those who those who translated the Bible switched some things in there. And it was on purpose to deceive you and I. So he had to the Bible had to be reinterpreted. This is one reason why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was risen up among us. Now, he had to be risen in order to deliver the clear message and warning to us, so that way we may have a chance to see the hereafter and escape the fate of the wicked. This shows you the mercy and the just, and how just Allah is. He wouldn't destroy the world without giving the world an opportunity and a chance. See, the Holy Quran teaches us that Allah sends a messenger and a warner to every nation. Being that we are a nation of people who are deprived from our own, we were taken from our own. We were a people, a nation that deserved to be sent a warner and a prophet, just like every other nation has been sent warners and prophets. In fact, no one needed a warner or a prophet more than we did. You say, why, Brother Daniel? Why don't everybody deserves a prophet? True indeed. But no one needs one more than we do. Because we were a people who lost all knowledge of self. While other nations grew with the understanding of who they are, we didn't get that opportunity. We grew up with the understanding of what was given to us by our captors. Is that right? So, in all fairness, I think it's just that Allah sent us a messenger. And not a prophet, but a messenger. There was no need for God to raise another another prophet, because all of the prophets before the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had prophesied all the way up to the ending. There was nothing else to be prophesied about. They prophesied to the very end. There's nothing else to be said. Once you get to the end, that's it, right? So what else would he come to prophesy about? So we were given a warner and a messenger. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, all praise be to Allah. So, with that being said, I would like to reintroduce you to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It's important that you understand the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his mission. Because reason being is because there's a lot of propaganda out there and misinformation about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what he taught. So I'd like to go over a few things to clear the air, so that way you'll have a better understanding of our messenger, leader, teacher, and guide. And you can actually have a clearer decision whether you accept him as the messenger or not. It's only fair that you get that opportunity to choose, because we are in the time of, we are in a day of decision. See, the judgment is also a day of decision. We must decide. Not only is God deciding, we are deciding. Before I speak about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I would like to talk about the judgment and why he had to be risen among us first before the judgment took place, which we are in now, because he has already come and he has paved the way for the judgment, and we're in it right now. See, when you think about the judgment, it is exactly what the word says, judgment, right? When you go into a courtroom, right, the judgment is about judging the affairs of man. When you walk into a courtroom, what's the first thing, when a person being charged with a crime goes to court, what's the first thing that the court does? They present the evidence, right, before the judge. They present the evidence in order to convict a man and charge him, and he has to be found guilty. Is that right? This is the purpose of the judgment, to find those guilty and charge them accordingly. This is why God promised to judge the world. And it's necessary. When we look in the streets today, what do we see? Do you feel that the world should be judged? Well, don't matter what we think, because Allah is the one in control, and the law sits as the judge. And he said he's going to judge the world. So the first thing the judge gets is the evidence, right? This is why we see everything going on today, right before our eyes, because this is proving this world is wicked. And in proving this world is wicked, God is justified for destroying this world, bringing up charges against the wicked and destroying them. It's justice, bringing justice. So the scripture said, before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, before the judgment, I will send you Elijah. Elijah has come, brothers and sisters. All praise due to Allah. Now, the judgment. Again, many of us believed our whole life that before the judgment, the dead would come out of the ground, physically dead. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that that was a misinterpretation. It's not talking about the physically dead. It's talking about the mentally dead. The physically dead is not coming up out of the grave to be judged by no one. Their time is up. It's over, finished. But it's the living that will be judged. And those that are dead among the living, dead mentally, must rise first. And I gave a good example on my last lecture about the mentally dead. We are the mentally dead people. Why? Because we didn't have a knowledge of who we are. We lost the knowledge of ourselves. We lost the knowledge of our religion, our culture, our God. We lost the knowledge of where we come from. And it's just like a man with amnesia, as I explained in my last lecture. A man with amnesia is considered clinically dead. Is that right? In the medical field, they're considered clinically dead. So a man with amnesia doesn't know who he is. When they ask him, "What's your name, sir?" he say, "I don't know." Where you come from? He say, "I don't know." Who's your father? I don't know. Because he has no recollection of who he is. So he's labeled clinically dead. And what do they do with a clinically dead person? On their chart, they write John Doe. Is that right? John Doe. That tells the medical staff that this man is clinically dead. He don't know who he is. Well, guess what, brothers and sisters? When a person dies physically, if they found a dead body on the side of the road with no identification card and they couldn't identify the body, you know what they do? They put a tag on the toe and they write John Doe on it because they can't identify the body. Just like a man with amnesia can't identify himself. They can't identify him. It's the same thing. Clinically dead. So it is with us as a people. We are clinically dead because we don't have the knowledge of who we are. We taken on an identity that was given to us or forced upon us. And then we accepted it and we followed those who forced that upon us, forced this life in this world upon us. We followed them and we accepted and took on their name and their identity. We didn't come over here with these names that we have: Danny, Joe, Billy, Frank. Those aren't no original names. You didn't see us anywhere on the planet with those type of names unless we were under their rule. And I'm speaking about the white man. So we are a people lost of our identity. So as the scriptures teach us, the dead must rise first, right? We must rise first mentally to a knowledge of self so that God can judge us accordingly. Once he sent us a messenger to deliver the message to us that will resurrect us from our mental death. See, the resurrection must take place first. Is that right? Well, it's the mental resurrection. Once we come up out of the mental resurrection, then it's fair for Allah to judge us. Then we're fit for judgment. Because once you know, now you're accountable. Is that right? Once you know right from wrong, now you're accountable. Is that right? It's like a child. When a child is a baby, they're innocent. Innocent of all crime because they don't know any better. Is that right? But once they grow to a certain age where they know better, then they're accountable for what they do. Is that right? Well, so it is with us, the mentally dead people. And this is the time of judgment. Many of you have already had the opportunity to accept the truth. Many of you have rejected it, but you are fit for judgment. Once you heard the truth and you reject it, that is on you. This is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's mission was, to give us the message, to deliver it to us. It's like being served for court. Once that man walk up to you, hand you that envelope, say you've been served. Now it's on you if you show up to court or not. That's your decision. And if you don't show up to court, guess what happens? They put a warrant out for your arrest, right? All right, come on. Let's talk truth, y'all. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad giving us a message of truth to deliver to our people. And many of our people, just like that example I gave you, will reject it. But that only makes you, once you have been given the opportunity to accept or reject the truth, that make you fit for judgment. So, again, this is the day of the decision. We all have the right to make our own decision. Allah allows us to choose. And in fact, in the Bible, it teaches us that God said what? I give you life, and I give you death. I give you blessed, and I give you cursed. I give you life, and I give you death. Choose life that you and thy seed may live. He's given us a choice today. This is the mercy of Allah. He give you a choice. He didn't just come and destroy us right away, which he had the right to, but he's so merciful that he gave us a choice to allow us to choose for ourselves. All praise is due to Allah. So I hope you're getting some understanding, brothers and sisters. We're going to move on and talk a little bit about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And hopefully we can clear up some of this misunderstanding and misinformation against our beloved messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We want you to understand this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a man born in Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, born in 1897, in October 1897. Some say October 7th. That's the day they chose for him. However, he didn't know what day he was born, because back then they didn't really keep records like that, especially for Black people. You got to think about it. 1897. Imagine that. I want you to take your minds back in time and picture 1897. Savannah, Georgia. People were still being lynched hung on trees. There were still people in slavery in 1897. So here he is, a little man born in Savannah, Georgia, October 1897. And it wasn't, he only made it to the 3rd grade. He's a man with a 3rd grade education. And I'm telling you all this because I want you to understand the power of Allah and why Allah chose him to be a messenger for you and I. He could have chose anyone in America. Why didn't he choose somebody from the city, a big city slicker from New York City? Why didn't he choose a Hollywood famous man from California? Why didn't he choose a big muscle-bound, strong man from Florida? Why didn't he go and choose a highly educated man from out of the prestige colleges? Because he wanted to prove his power. So he took a little man from Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, deep in the South, where we were in the South, the Black man in the South was considered the dumbest. And this is no disrespect to our people, but this is what they considered us in the South. In fact, we were the last people to be lifted from slavery was in the South. Is that right? We all know this to be true. So he took a little man from the South with a 3rd grade education and poured into him his knowledge and wisdom. Taught him for 3.5 years, from the year 1931 to the year 1934. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad sat with Allah, and day and night was being taught by Allah. for 3.5 years. Now, let's put this on a scale, brothers and sisters. 3.5 years of teaching. Most of us have at least 12 years of school education. Is that right? From elementary to the 12th grade. That's 12 years of school, right? Then those of us that want to go further in our education, we go into college. And we take at least, what, 4 years? Some that go even higher, like doctors, lawyers, judges, scientists, they go into an extended time in education, right? Some go 4, 8, 12 years of college. If you go 12 years of college, that's 24 years of education, right? But here is a little man from Savannah, Georgia, in the 1930s, taught for 3.5 years and was able to raise up a nation. Raise up a nation in 3.5 years with a 3rd grade education. If that ain't the power of God, I don't know what it is. And then let's look at what he was teaching in the 1930s. Again, in the 1930s, there were still people being lynched for less. Black men would get lynched just for looking in a white man's face. You could get lynched for stepping. I've heard stories that you couldn't even step on a white man's shadow. You couldn't even step. You had to go around a shadow. But here you got a little man with a 3rd grade education, taught for 3.5 years by God himself. 3.5 years, and he stand up before the world, condemning all of the wrong that was done to us as a people. And then telling us who the devil is, exposing the devil at the devil's height of power. They was at the height of their power. And here he is calling them the devil. White men hung black men for less. For less. And here he is gathering our people together to teach them the knowledge of who they are in the 1930s and up. Imagine that, brothers and sisters. Just think over that. How powerful you have to be. What kind of power did he have behind him to do all of this? How was he able to raise up a nation? We could go on for hours talking about the accomplishments of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in building a nation, the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam was not just a religious organization. No, brothers and sisters. The Nation of Islam was an actual nation. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad raised us up as a nation with everything that a nation would need to be successful. We had farmlands, thousands of acres of farmland, producing everything from milk, from dairy to meats, to bread, butter, everything that you would see in the local grocery store. Is that right? In fact, we had a chain of grocery stores, your supermarkets all over America. We had Salam restaurants, the food came straight off of our own farms. We had our own packing companies that packed and shipped throughout America all of our goods to each and every one of the local grocers. We had our own printing press, printed up our own newspaper, which we also printed out other publications. We were the first Black publication with their own printing press. This is all done by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We had import and export. The major import and export of fish by Black people that produced millions of pounds of fish in and out of America on our own docks. This was all done by a little man from Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, with a 3rd grade education, taught 3.5 years by Master Farad Muhammad. All praise due to Allah. That Master Farad Muhammad must be Allah to do what he done, fulfilling prophecy, showing that he could take a little man like that and put knowledge into him in only 3.5 years. And he supersede those who go to college for 24 years. Not only did he raise us up a nation, he was able to stand before the world and challenge the world's leaders and scholars, the world's top scientists, the world's theologians. Huh? Come on now. If this ain't the power of God, what is? Show me the power of God if this ain't the power of God. All praise due to Allah. That's power. World has never seen nothing like that before. It was unseen before in history. They never seen nothing like that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad mesmerized the entire world. Took people like Malcolm X out of prison, made him a great speaker, one of the greatest speakers to ever speak publicly. Right out of prison. That was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that did that. Took Muhammad Ali as a boxer, made him a minister, made him a world champion with a name that ring all around the world to this day. And that's the power of God, able to take men and make them great with these teachings that he came to deliver to us. But you have those who dislike him, who dislike his message that he came to deliver us. I don't know why anybody Black would dislike it, other than their love for this world and those that hate us and their fear. Many of us are in fear. We tremble when we hear the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Just hearing his name starts trembling because we scared of the enemy, scared of the devil. So you have those that disagree with the teachings and they want to slander the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And this is nothing new. It was going on during the time that he was among us. However, today, he's no longer here to defend himself. So you have many people slandering him. They say, oh, he was a old pedophile who messed with his teenage, underage secretaries. This was a lie. Yeah. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was under 24-hour surveillance by the FBI, the CIA. They were all watching him, monitoring his every move. If that were true, that would have been the perfect opportunity to lock him up under charges, throw him in jail, to shut him up. But they didn't. Why? Because he was innocent of those charges. This is a man that they locked up during the time of a war. They locked him up for 5 years, federal prison, for draft evasion. He was well over the age, the draft limit, the age of, the draft limit, the age of the draft limit, He was over that age. But they couldn't figure out nothing else to do to shut him up but to give him a false charge. So if they did that, if they couldn't find nothing else on him, nothing else. If they had those type of charges to pin on him, they would have done it. And this goes to show you the slander that people are willing to go just to discredit him for what he's done for us. And so this is all a trick to get you and I not to follow him. Why? Because the longer we are asleep, the longer we prolong the judgment. Because again, brothers and sisters, the whole point of him coming was to give us an opportunity, to deliver us a message. And many of us are not accepting the message because, are not even getting close to hearing the message because of the slander and the misinformation that we receive. And this is why we want to clear it up today, brothers and sisters. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad never had illegitimate children, as they say. I done seen where they said he had 29 children. This is crazy. This is crazy. They say everything to discredit the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, trying to make him out to be a liar. The reason why they do that is they want you and I to believe he's lying when he told us that he had 8 children by one wife, Sister Clara Muhammad. 8 children. He was asked in an interview about his domestic life. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that when God raises up a man, whether it be a prophet or a messenger, they cannot lie. They cannot lie. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was no liar. He didn't lie when he said he had 8 children and one wife. No. But you have those going around pinning this lie on him just for their own satisfaction, because they want to have multiple wives, or to deceive you and I from following him. We got to understand that if that were true, that he did have all of these wives and children, where's the records? Where's the proof? We don't see no marriage license. We don't see his name on birth certificates of all of these 29 children. Show me some baby pictures. Show me pictures of him raising these children. Those of us that have been around long enough and who studied under some of our great some of our great pioneers who were there during the time, who were witnesses, can tell you he didn't have no illegitimate children. He didn't have all of these wives and concubines that they try to throw on him. Again, brothers and sisters, that's all a deception. Now, they try to say that he's a cult leader. And they say that Islam is a cult. How? Where's the proof? What do you mean when you say a cult and a cult leader? What makes him a cult leader? Is it because he taught separation and not integration? Is that what makes him a cult leader? Is it because he taught that Allah came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad? Is that what makes him a cult leader? Is it because he told us he was the messenger of Allah? Is that what makes him a cult leader? Well, if he's a cult leader, every person at the pulpit claiming to be a pastor, preacher, or anybody teaching the word of God is a cult leader. You got to charge everybody with being a cult leader. If that's the case, they say he was a hate teacher. I challenge everyone out there to prove these charges. Because today, you're going to have to prove them charges. You're going to have to stand on all of the things that you charge the Honorable Elijah Muhammad with. Prove it. We challenge you all. Yeah, now the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we say is the greatest black man or black leader the world has ever seen. And I know many of my people, they disagree because some of my people love Malcolm X. Well, who taught Malcolm X? Who made Malcolm X? Who gave Malcolm the X? Malcolm didn't make himself a leader. Malcolm didn't make himself a minister. He didn't make himself a spokesman, a national representative of the Nation of Islam. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad made him. If you go back and listen to all those great lectures you love that he spoke of, he always told you who taught him and what he was taught. Is that right? He always say the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that. Is that right? He always gave credit where credit was due. And I know some of my people, they love Marcus Garvey. And Marcus Garvey was a beautiful brother. He tried hard to get our people back home. So hard that he put his own money into buying boats just to deliver our people back home. So Marcus Garvey was a great man. And he gave a great effort. However, in comparison, he don't come close to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And this is not a disrespect towards our brother Marcus Garvey. We just got to keep it real. We just telling the truth here. Is that right? We just telling the truth, brothers and sisters. You can do the math yourself. Add it up. Many of our people, you know, we love the Pan-African movement. But what did the Pan-African movement do for us that you can see today? Show me what the Pan-African movement is doing for our people today. A lot of talking sounds good. Sounds good. But what is the program for our people? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us the #1 program. In fact, it's been recorded by federal agents that they never seen a reforming program like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's. He reformed more black people in America than they've ever seen before. And they rated it the #1 reforming program for our people. No other leader for our people has done that. So what does that tell us about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Something special about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is that right? Now, before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, I will send you Elijah. Now, I know I left that out of the title. For one, it was too long to put in there. And for two, I wanted to lead into that. I wanted to gradually lead into it. Before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, I will send you Elijah. Well, Elijah done came, brothers and sisters. So now it's on you and I to choose, make our choice, make our decision. Do you accept the truth? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that you should accept the truth when you hear it, because you may not get another opportunity to hear it again. Many of you are tuning in online. If the internet shut down tomorrow, what you gonna do? Where are you gonna find the truth at? They're already trying to close every avenue of light to enter the black man's mind, as they promised to do. That was their thing, to close all the avenues of light to come to our mind. They're already trying to shut down pages. We see it. So eventually, there's going to come a time where you're not going to find us online. So we're trying to tell you right now, accept your own now. Don't wait. You're going to wait and it may be too late. There is a such thing as too late. The people of Noah found that out. The people of Noah wanted to wait. Is that right? Noah called them. They would not come until it was too late. When the ark doors closed and the clouds started forming and the rain started pouring, then they start knocking at the boat. It's too late. Don't be like the people of Noah. Be like the people with Noah. Praise be to Allah. Brothers and sisters, we're at a dangerous time. You all see what's going on. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us about the 4 judgments of America. And we're witnessing it today. Hail, snow, earthquakes, wind. You see them hurricanes coming back to back. That's not no coincidence. They try to blame that on HAARP. The government ain't doing nothing like that. HAARP can't do nothing like that. HAARP is a fluke. If you placed your bet on HAARP, then you lost. Because HAARP ain't doing none of that. You think if this devil can manipulate weather like that, he wouldn't use it on his enemies? You think Russia would be over there puffing their chest at America if they was able to whip a hurricane up or a snowstorm that could take them out? They wouldn't do it. You don't think China over there will be suffering? They would tear China up if they was able to manipulate the weather like that. They wouldn't have no enemies. They would destroy all their enemies. You see what the length they go to destroy their enemies? They go to the extremes to destroy their enemies. Is that right? Why waste all these millions of dollars on a bomb if you could control the weather? They wouldn't even have to lose no lives if they knew how to control it, but they can't. Y'all believe in all of this stuff you see on the new, they all saying this to discredit the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who taught us that that is the working of Allah, the Son of Man, who causing all of this. Because this is the time of judgment. And see, the devil want to deceive us. Don't want us to know that our God is out there who has our back, who has the power over all things. You see, we're not scared of their weapons. We're not scared of their bombs and machine guns and knives and all of the destructive weapons that they formed. Because we know who's in control of everything. They can't shoot no rocket at a hurricane. You can't fire a machine gun at a snowstorm, a blizzard. You can't shoot rockets. I mean, you can't shoot from a tank at a tornado. This is nature. Allah controls nature. So, don't fall for the okie doke, brothers and sisters. The wise thing to do, come on in the ark. We're calling you. Come in the ark. Don't you see it's dangerous out there? There's nothing but death and destruction out there. Why would you choose that? Come choose life, brothers and sisters. Now, with that being said, I'm going to conclude my lecture today. I apologize for the technical difficulties, and I pray that what you heard today, you gotten some understanding. And I'd like to ask for those of you who believe what you have heard today to be the truth and would like to come and reclaim your own, we ask that you contact us at the information that we're going to provide at the end of this lecture. Contact us. For those of you who have already accepted your own, but don't have a temple in your area, and you would like to unite with the believers, contact us. For those of you who have a temple, ministers, we ask that you contact us. Let us unite. Unity is the basis of our belief. Unity. Allah came to unite us. We are the dry bones in the valley. And guess what? The body can't function if it's spread apart. We got to come together. Them bones got to come together. So let us unite, brothers and sisters. Let us stop bickering and debating over nonsense. We wasting time. Our people out here dying. We're in the brink of destruction. And we wasting time arguing amongst each other, debating. For what? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't give us this teaching just so we can go around puffing our chest, trying to prove that we scholars, fighting amongst each other. We ain't no better than those in the streets out there shooting at each other. We're supposed to be setting an example for our people. Let us come together and unite. All right, brothers and sisters. I thank you all for tuning in today. We know that there's many places that you could be, but you are here with us, and we are so thankful to have you. Again, my name is Brother Minister Daniel Shabazz, and I'm just your brother. Just your brother. So at this time, we're going to end today's lecture. I ask that everybody stand in a position of prayer. But before we close out, I'd like to say this. A nation can't run without finance. No nation on the planet is successful without being financially backed. Now, we're not some type of religious organization that gets funded by the federal or local city or state government. They won't give us the funds. So we are seeking donations, brothers and sisters. We're not like the church where we have our collection played out every 5 minutes. No, we just ask that you give what you can out of your heart. And for those who would like to donate, please contact us and we'll give you the information on how you can help support us so we can continue this mission and so we can continue to build and have something that we can call our own. So at this time, we're going to close out in prayer. Position of prayer, please. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praises due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master, this day of judgment in which we now live. To Thee alone do we serve, and to Thee alone do we beseech for Thine help and aid. O Allah, guide us along the right path, the path of those upon whom Thou hast bestowed favor, and not on the path of those upon whom Thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who have gone astray after they have heard Thy teachings. Say, He, Allah, is one God. Allah is He of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He neither begets nor is He begotten, and there is none like unto Him. And I bear witness that there is none to be served or worshipped beside Thee, Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is Thy true servant and last apostle to we, the lost and found members here in the wilderness of North America. Ameen. Again, we thank you all for coming out, and we pray that you come out next week. Please invite a friend and family members. But I will leave you all in the same greeting words of peace and paradise that I greeted you in our Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum.
If you believe what you are taught today on Islam is true, and you would like to learn more or you are ready to accept and reclaim your own, contact the Lost Foundation of Islam Muhammad's Temple United at 623-312-4352. Again, that's 623-312-4352. We thank you for joining us today, and we ask that you return next Sunday and invite your family and friends. We ask your support so that we may continue to get the truth out to our people.
The Lost and Found Nation of Islam, Muhammad's Temple United, is seeking to unite with all of the believers in temples across the country. If you are a member or a part of a temple, or if you have a temple, contact us and let us unite, one nation under one way of life, Islam as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Don't see your city or state? Let's change that. Let's unite and put your temple on the map of unity. Let us not come together in unity in belief only, but let us come together and unify as one in practice. The time is now, black man and woman. Your nation awaits you. Assalamu alaikum. Or a part of a temple, or if you have a temple, contact us and let us unite, one nation under one way of life, Islam as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Don't see your city or state? Let's change that. Let's unite and put your temple on the map of unity. Let us not come together in unity in belief only, but let us come together and unify as one in practice. The time is now, black man and woman. Your nation awaits you. Assalamu alaikum.